Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today we are going to be working on 39 Mercury again. It's been the winner of the customization or correction of the Mercury, as we've been jokingly calling it. So we are going to work on, we're going to jump around a little bit. So we got the back end of the car all smoothed out, and while we have it on the left and we kind of have the car turned this direction, we thought it would be a good time to work on swapping out the rear. So you guys may remember we mentioned in another video, or one of the week in the life ofs, we got a Columbia rear all redone. So I found this rear at an estate of a viewer, actually, or at a property of a viewer in Virginia, that his father had a 40 Ford coupe that he used to run around with and drag race and whatever. Had an Oldsmobile with a Columbia rear in it. We bought that stuff out of the car because he was changing the car up. Squirreled the rear away for years, and we got it all redone. Our buddy George locally redid the rear for me, and it is ready to go. So we're gonna work on his pulling this rear out. We're also gonna work on getting the car sitting lower. So there is a little bracket, that riser that goes in the cross member on the Mercury's only, that we can drop the suspension. We're gonna work on swapping all the brake parts over to the new rear, and so on and so forth, get the spring swapped over. Hopefully by the end we'll have a Columbia in here with the drive shaft and everything hooked up, and also we will have the car sitting lower and looking cooler, which is equally as important. So we got a lot to do. Let's get started.
This has a short wishbone. Feed it through.
That's to like the back of the cone.
Yep.
To
Do the front of the flange.
the flange is roughly 6 feet even, 72 inches. Walk next door.
Right this way, sir. I'll get you the parts that you need.
So we're gonna, this is the beauty of why we have this new setup with the new building, because we can walk next door and measure something.
Not wait for Mike to forget to measure for 3 weeks.
And because Mike has this so well organized, we can just we can walk right in here to the torque tube department.
Get my ladder.
And we actually scrapped a bunch of torque tubes and drive shafts because we had so many. So this is
We scrapped a ton, and then we took apart like 12 rears, and then now we have a ton more.
yeah. So
Alrighty.
do you want the tape measure just to
Now I can.
you can tell which ones?
Yep. This one's a 40.
So are they 30? Is it 37 to, or is it 35 to 40?
35 to 41.
Or 41, 41 to 8, I think uses
Yeah.
somewhere. This is, you think this is
Yeah. So the way you can tell is where this perch is.
taller than me,
Yeah.
and I'm under 6 foot, so you want from there? No,
This is longer in here.
no, look, 72 is here.
So we can use that torque tube. We just have to lengthen the drive shaft.
Potentially.
No, we will.
Yeah.
Definitely have
let me see, 6 foot.
The way I can tell right away is there was a ton of space from where this goes to where the drive shaft is.
Oh.
So the only we're gonna have to look. You might have to lengthen because there's a boss. Or
Well, no,
I guess
I'll use that torque tube, and I can just lengthen the drive shaft.
on that end.
Yes.
Cut that drive shaft off and lengthen that end of it. Because I think the circlip, where the circlip is at, it might be
That
different.
should.
Because this is further down.
Was it?
Yeah, there's more space between here.
Oh. Yeah,
So-
okay,
so
so
that-
I'll add it on that end, which
Uh-huh.
is where I would do the work anyways, because you put that spline adapter on.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna set this down and see what our desired height is with no rear in it. We can daydream if we wanted to bag it, what it'll look like.
Yeah, want it to scrape the concrete. That's on the shocks.
Yeah, but it'll compress them.
Right about there. And that's like lower.
Lower.
Just a little bit. Oh, that is.
That might be a little.
Too much.
I don't know.
Actually, if it's too much, it's maybe an inch too much.
Now the front needs to go down more.
Nope, stop that.
Well, I don't think we're all the way off of the front
Oh.
because it's tilting so much. I don't think I can't go too much because it'll slip off the lift.
Yeah.
So, that's darn close.
Yeah, that is real close.
So the bottom of skirts is 7.5.
All right,
It's a little higher than that, but 7 3/4, 7.5, 7 5/8. Let's write that down. 7 and 5/8.
7 and 5/8.
Something in that realm. 7 3/4 would probably be okay too. But the front will drop some because we still have a bit of weight on the front.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's the weight of the car isn't on this.
All right, so we got this up in the air after having some fun and seeing how cool it'll look slammed down in the back. This is what we were talking about. There is basically a riser on the Mercuries that they put in the rear cross member here, and it's riveted in place so you can see the whole thickness on most of these cars. The spring sits up in the cross member here in the flat spot. They basically spaced it down. We measured it. It's almost 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. So basically the thickness of the cross member you can see there. Put the light a little better. There we go. So basically this thickness of the cross member, that riser is taking up all of that. So if we drill the rivets out and remove that riser, that's going to give us 2.5 inches of drop, which with our crude measuring with the lift, we think is probably pretty close. So it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. We have a gas tank in the car, so if I was working on something that wasn't previously a driving car with no gas tank, we could just blow them out with the plasma cutter and it'd be great. So because of that, we got to carefully put some little flats on it, center punch it, drill it with a small pilot hole, and then slowly drill them out to a point where we can knock that out of there. So it's gonna be a little time consuming, but once we get that out, that'll be really the only thing on the car itself that we need to modify. And then everything else is just swapping the good stuff from this over. So we are going to use the spring, the shackles, all that stuff. We're just going to probably clean all that stuff up, clean and paint all of it because the rear's painted. And while we have this out, it's much easier to work on. So just start disassembling, drilling rivets. Steve and I will attack this and start trying to get some stuff swapped over. All right, so Steve and I proceeded to make a giant mess. I was able to get the riser out of the crossmember, so that's all good, taken care of. Rivets sanded flat, bit of a pain in the butt. Steve mostly, and I helped at the very end here, got this all blown apart. And what I wanted to show you guys, 3940 Mercuries are kind of a pain in the ass. I don't know why Ford and Mercury, Lincoln did this, but they went back to like a Model A or 32 Ford style where the drive shaft is actually like part of the pinion, or pressed in rather, so it's not a drive shaft like you would think of that you can just slide off, or even if you're used to other early V8 cars where the drive shaft just slides off. So on the Columbia here, we'll show you, it has these splines here, and you can see where that pin is. There's actually a sleeve, which the parts department is bringing a sleeve.
I found something else over there too.
Another adapter?
Yep.
Nice.
Put that in the bin.
So this sleeve here, there's a couple different styles like Mike was referencing, but we don't want to confuse everybody. So this sleeve is just the same spline count, and this basically, I can do it one-handed. This sleeve, oh boy, thank you, Steve. There you go. So that sleeve slides over like that. I'm not going to hammer it on, but that rivet hole lines up with that rivet hole. And when we take these off, and say when we just grind the head and knock them through. So what we noticed is this length from where the torque tube mounts to the end of here, or even to this rivet, is longer because it slides on than this, where it actually is part of the pinion here. So because of that, we can basically cut this drive shaft right in front of where the keyway or whatever is there. And this will be long enough because we're going to have this guy, you see how long that is going to go there. So basically we just need to have enough that we can slip it over the drive shaft. So what I usually do on these is on the one-piece ones, I just pull the drive shaft and I basically cut it to the length I want, put it in the lathe, let this long-ass piece stick out and spin around very dangerously. Hopefully this one being longer doesn't hit the stove. That might be a problem. So I usually spin this in the lathe and I turn down this end so that it is an interference fit inside the other splined end, and then we heat the sleeve and we pound it down over, and because we're seating it like, I don't know, 2 inches or something like that, it kind of self-centers if it's an interference fit, and then as it cools it's going to be tight. We plug weld it, seam weld it around the outside, and then also it's got the rivet or bolt on this end, so it's very secure. I've done a ton of cars like that, never an issue. So that's what we have to do. I think this drive shaft's long enough, luckily, and we don't have to like lengthen a drive shaft, which is way more difficult. So we're going to take some measurements just to get our flange to end of drive shaft measurement for what we want to end up at, and then we can cut this off and then start mocking it up on the Columbia, and hopefully get something figured out here and get this sleeve on and be ready to go back together. I'll give you the...
I got the dumb end.
You got no responsibility.
I got the dumb end. I'm going right to that hole.
So if the drive shaft doesn't fit, I can't blame it on you. Pulling the slack out, or are you holding it in?
No, I'm just holding the
silver part.
The silver
part.
part,
So
yep.
I'm pulling the slack out. You gotta remember that one.
Yep.
It is 72, 73, and 13/16, or 3/4 if you're taking it. I don't think a 16th will make much of a difference.
Okay.
So you can get inside the... Just grab that. What are we at?
We're at 76 and 5/8.
No shit.
Yep, 76 and 5/8.
See, that's what, like Mike was like, oh, just cut through. I don't know why, something we were figuring. I'm right at that line there. So we actually need to go that way, just.
No, 73. We need 73.
Oh, 73.
Yeah, we got to shorten her up.
Yeah, okay. I
We
was
got 3 inches too much.
Okay, so we're gonna take 3 inches, so where's 3/4, right there?
That is 70, another 1/8 inch,
Yeah, I can see one too,
76, and
right there.
that's 76 and
I wanna go to 3/4 so we can
yeah,
take a,
you need to come out another 1/8 inch.
oh wow. No, it's right there. Might be a 16th, not enough. Fairly true cut for a saw. All right, so we got the rear all assembled, put back together here, and got the drive shaft shortened. As you guys saw, I was doing a little bit of that stuff. Torque tube back on. Steve and I tackled cleaning, and Steve painted everything, and then we tag team kind of reassembling everything. So we got it all back together. The nice thing with this Columbia is that, like, we were using 80% of the parts were off the old rear, which is obviously over there, so we didn't have to, like, you know, ream holes out or stuff didn't fit. Everything kind of just fell together for the most part. And we are pretty much ready to go. So we're gonna spin this thing around, roll it underneath again, and installation is the opposite of removal, as they say. And hopefully it'll be that easy. So yeah, so we're gonna slide this under, and we're probably gonna have to do some modifications, or there's always these spring pad clamp pieces here. When you take some leaves out and lower the car, a lot of times these bottom out and don't touch the spring. So a lot of times I do is I weld a thick piece of metal across these two little ears to touch the spring, and that basically takes up the gap, and then it'll tighten up. But we don't know what we need yet till we slide it underneath of there. With that riser that it had in the Mercury from the factory, we didn't have to do this, because even though we took leaves out, that riser was so darn tall, it was totally fine. So that's where we're at. Let's spin this around and try and wiggle it back in under here.
Feels pretty steady.
We can get to like there.
Yeah.
It looks like it needs to come either which way. A torque tube must be pointing that way, so we gotta.
Okay.
On top of the X member there.
Okay. Do you want to stay under there while I go down, or do you want to?
I'm gonna roll out.
I was gonna say, I'd prefer if you roll down.
Yes,
Just
yes.
for that split second.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Are we looking at the back here?
I think we need to come forward a little more. It's gonna might hit the bracket on the skirt there.
If we, well, yeah, as we go down, we should be able to go forward.
Yeah. Let me try pulling forward again.
Let me go. Hold on. Let me go a little lower first, just to give you some more help. All right.
How much further does the rear need to come forward to get the spring in?
A bit, 6 to 10 inches. But what? Okay, you're getting closer there. It still needs to go forward more, but
Alright.
you're gonna get to a point where you're not gonna be able to get your hand in there for the
Yeah.
joint.
Oh, there we go. Okay. We'll give it a push forward.
There we go. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Usually, that's what I was saying. Usually, you could just barely get your hand in there
Yep.
to feel it catch.
Yeah, that actually just fell in.
That's right. It falls in.
Yep. Boy, that's a wonderful thing, huh?
I feel like it didn't go down that much. We gotta be sitting on like the frame. Oh, now.
Now it did.
All right. Now it's sitting where it was. I guess it just had to settle.
Yeah, it felt like the spring maybe came out of the cross member a little bit. Yep.
That looks about right.
Yep.
It's not as much as I thought it was.
I didn't need it. No, I thought it would be like way more extreme.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks.
It looks fine. It works with the chop, the chop doesn't look too steep or anything now.
Yeah.
No, I think it works just fine. Look how high the nose is compared. I bet looking at this thing in a complete side view would be amazing.
Yeah.
Look how much higher the nose is in the rear now.
Yep. All right, so yesterday we got the, you guys saw we dropped the car down, and with the Columbia in it and all the stuff we changed, and got the spring all seated and everything, and it's bitching. It looks perfect. I'm really happy with how everything's sitting now. Sits nice and low in the back, and Steve and I were looking last night, at the end of the night, just jumping up and down on the suspension, see what's hitting. We had to cut some of the exhaust off where it was hitting the radius rods, which we kind of already knew. It seems like we have enough clearance for the frame rails for the axle, but we need to get shocks. We have to redo the shock location to get them at a better angle with it sitting lower. So we won't know till we get shocks on. It's at the point where it might be okay, but it might also not be okay. So for now, we're gonna leave it alone until we get shocks on, because adding the shocks really dampens how much it bounces up and down. But we have clearance everywhere pretty much. We now have to, in the trunk, there is a panel that's spot welded in where you access the U-bolts. I don't know why, but they spot welded it from the factory. So because the U-bolts are too long, we need to drill the spot welds or cut that piece out, and then we need to access them, pull the U-bolts out, put the correct ones in, jack the car up, and put the plates on underneath, and then we will have this thing pretty much good. But I think for now, it's sitting better. It's got the Columbia. We're stoked on it. So that's another update on the 39 Mercury project. We're going to keep working on this thing and making it better until spring, and then we're going to drive the heck of it. So thank you guys for following on. Appreciate it. Catch you later.